Okay, hope you guys all had a good week 2 of e-learning. Um, and we're going to start week 3. We're going to move on to tobacco now. We'll spend a couple days on this. Um, we'll talk about standard tobacco stuff as well as move on to a variety of other things, including e-cigarettes and smokeless tobacco. So here's the vocabulary terms you need to know for our tobacco unit. Addictive, that just means it's capable of causing a user to develop intense cravings. Nicotine is the addictive drug found in tobacco products. We'll talk a little bit about that as we move on, and you'll see with products such as Juul and e-cigarettes that nicotine can be added. It's not just in tobacco. They've developed ways to add it and kind of play with how much they add. A carcinogen is a cancer-causing agent. So you'll see when we talk about cigarettes, there's lots of carcinogens. Those are cancer-causing agents. Then there's 3 types of smoke we'll talk about. There's secondhand smoke. That's the smoke that's exhaled, and side stream. So we'll skip down to side stream. That's smoke that enters the air from the burning end of the cigarette, cigar, pipe, whatever the person's smoking. And then mainstream is the smoke that's inhaled by the person smoking as well as exhaled. So it includes that secondhand smoke as well. Cost of smoking. It varies by state with a lot of taxes involved. So in New York, cigarettes are $13 a pack. And here in Indiana, they're $6 a pack. And those are just rough estimates. So went ahead and broke it down for you. For the cost of smoking for a year in Indiana for a pack of day is $2,190. That's a lot of money. If someone's to smoke 2 packs a day, you would just double that, and then it's even more money. So think about that's just a person's income going towards just a habit to feed an addiction. Next, we'll have some examples of some tobacco products. We have cigarettes, which you guys know what those are. There's biddies, which are small, hand-rolled, filterless cigarettes. They contain more tar and nicotine than regular cigarettes. Cigars, pipe tobacco, chewing tobacco, smokeless tobaccos, things like dip, the little pouches and things like that would be in smokeless. Chewing tobacco is the old school stuff that you'll see in the video. They talk about Red Man, where people are actually chewing on it to get the juices, and then e-cigarettes as well. Short-term effects of smoking, you have the cosmetic effects. It's going to discolor your teeth and fingers with kind of a yellowish stain. Bad breath, odor on clothes, hair, and fingers. Cosmetics can be, again, when you think about clothes, sometimes if there's somebody going to an old like smoker's house that's lived there for a while, there's even that kind of yellowish film on the walls. Short-term effects continue, social relationships. People who don't smoke, don't hang out with smokers or won't date smokers. So like if people don't smoke, they tend not to hang around those type of people. Economic consequences. It's expensive. If you go back to that at the beginning, that roughly $2,000 a year, kind of think about what you would do with that extra money. It may not sound like a lot to you now, but if that adds up over a lifetime. Long-term effects, you have cardiovascular. So that's your heart. Nicotine is a stimulant. So what that means is it causes your heart to work faster than it needs to. And then we didn't talk about it much, but alcohol would be a depressant. So it slows down your body's functions. So nicotine is a stimulant. And then the carbon monoxide produced is going to decrease the amount of oxygen carried by your blood cells. So not only is your heart working harder and faster, it's not carrying the amount of oxygen in the blood that it would normally would. Respiratory system, so it's going to damage your lungs. People who smoke become short of breath. Vigorous physical activity gets difficult. So I just realized I have a typo. It is lungs, not ungs. So make sure that you know it's going to damage your lungs. These are conditions and diseases that can happen from smoking. You have asthma, emphysema, cancer, and then chronic bronchitis. So think of that chronic bronchitis as a smoker's cough. Cancer, you're familiar with those. Smoking is going to cause approximately 90% of all cases of lung cancer. And then emphysema, that's the air sacs in the lungs lose ability to function, and that's irreversible. So oftentimes people with emphysema will have to carry around a oxygen cart with them. There are 480,000 smoking-related deaths per year. So that is a lot of people dying from smoking-related illnesses. 41,000 of those are just from secondhand smoke exposure. So those are people who didn't smoke but were just around it for a while. So the types of smoke we talked about, those are secondhand smoke. That's the exhaled smoke and the side stream smoke. The mainstream smoke is the smoke that the person who's smoking is breathing in. So, and then the side stream smoke is from the burning end of the cigarette. So if you think about it, if you think of a cigarette, usually on one end there's a filter, and then the other end is lit. The lit end is where the side stream smoke comes from. So there's some risk of using smokeless tobacco. It's going to contain more nicotine than regular cigarettes, so you have increased risk of addiction, mouth and throat cancers, bad breath and stained teeth. It's going to destroy your sense of taste and smell from the tobacco product being right up there near your mouth and your nose. And then the white patches on the inside of your mouth and gums can become cancerous as well over time. So that will conclude kind of our slides on tobacco. We'll have a Google question over this once you finish. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But that will do the slides, and we will have a video this week as well.